I am DJ Mo Wilks, and welcome to Studio 889. I've had the honor of speaking with several guests who've stopped through Studio 889, but none with the unique resume of my following guest. I remember playing some of his first music in the U.S. back in 1990, what seemed like lifetimes of radio stations ago, nothing like this. And I've loved that song ever since, but I didn't realize he had work that went back to 1985, very significant year. Nothing like
Exactly.
this hit with emerging bands like D'Angelo, Maxwell, Erykah Badu, Angie, were all breaking out. Neo Soul was forming, and also was UK acid jazz. So my guest has worked with some iconic musical singers, songwriters, Stevie Wonder, I could stop right there, Lamont
Uh-huh.
Dozier, as well as the late great Angie Stone, and Robert Glasper. He brings a deep, rich, soulful singing music tradition to the Boston City Winery stage Monday, July 14th. Studio 889, welcome, please, Omar.
Give thank you. Thanks.
How are you
Good to
doing?
see you.
You doing good today?
Very good. It's actually quite warm. It's almost hot in England right now, so yeah, I'm enjoying the sunshine.
Yeah, we got some 90s going on today as well. You grew
Mm.
up around music. I mean, your family was in the music business, labels. I mean, what was it like to have a musical family?
Well, my dad was a drummer in the 60s and 70s. He played drums for Doris Troy, Bob Andy, Marcia Griffiths, and then in the 70s he decided to start his own record label called Conga Dance because he was a reggae drummer. He played for a band called Jah Lion. My younger brothers had a kids band as well called Burning Bush.
Wow.
And then when I was about 15, 14, 15, I started to record in his studio. And then he let me release my first single when I was 16, which is actually 40 years to this year.
So that's why you're so young. Okay, still in it, doing it, because you were doing it as a teenager back then. I mean, I remember in
Yeah.
the 80s for me, I mean, Loose Ends was big here in the United States in the mid 80s, UK soul music grooves. Did they
Yeah.
influence you starting out? Did you ever get a chance to collaborate, with groups like Loose Ends?
Well, not so much collaborate because I loved Loose Ends because I was at school when they came out with Hanging on a String.
Hmm.
And since then, I've been hanging out with Carl McIntosh, the brains behind the whole thing. And,
Yeah.
we keep talking about making music together. But it was a whole vibe at that time, and back then they called it acid jazz.
Right.
Now they call it neo classic soul, neo soul. But back then it was acid jazz. It was people like me, Young Disciples, Incognito,
Yes.
brand new heavies. All these people, we're just trying to emulate the American soul music that we loved.
Did you ever share the same stage? I mean, with all those different artists you just mentioned?
Many, many, many times. Yeah, exactly. In fact, I was playing with the brand new heavies at the Royal Albert Hall about 3 months ago.
Love
So
them.
we still work together. Yeah.
Love them. They're still going strong. I've seen them so many times here. I'm definitely glad to hear that. Chopping it up with Omar, who will be at City Winery Monday, July 14th. And so you did a collab. Well, you mentioned Carl McIntosh. I don't know if you were in the same studio with Donnie, who did a song called Spiritual. So that featured Carl McIntosh, right?
Right. So yeah, that's how we started the group called the British Collective
Yes.
because Donnie was working on this song, Spiritual, and then he decided to involve all the brothers that were making soul music back in the day, like Rick Clark, Junior Giscombe, Lee John, Sinclair, Glenn Goldsmith. The list goes on and on. And to this day, we're still performing together. You know what I mean? Hopefully, one day we'll be able to bring that whole act out to the States as well.
I love that unity. Taking you back a little bit further, what was the first moment musically? I mean, you just talked about having a musical family, but when was the first music that you realized it was going to be a life's calling? Can you recall that moment you said, okay, I'm going to do this for a living?
Yeah, I'll tell you when it was. It's when I found out that session musicians were earning £250 an hour.
Okay.
So I was like, yeah, that's a life for me. You know what I mean? But I've always been into music. My dad bought me my first drum kit when I was like 5, 6 years old. Then I started to learn the euphonium, baritone, the tuba, the piano. I played percussion in orchestra. started to play bass, when I started to listen to Level 42. I was just loving music, and that was how it got started.
Love me some Level 42, especially Star Child. Did you think you'd be doing it for 4 decades, though?
Kind of. At that point when I was about 14, 15, I was playing football at school, and I had to make a choice because it was either band practice or football practice. And I was like, the music, that's the one for me,
I like that. Chatting with Omar, he's going to be at City Winery next Monday. What is it about the UK soul sound that's so rich? It's funky, it's classic, it's smooth. I mean, I don't know if it's because of where you guys sit. You're a conduit between the continent and the States, but I mean, you, Soul to Soul, Misha Parrish, Sade. I mean, what's the secret to the UK soul sound?
I think it's the blend of our heritage. In the States you have the gospel and jazz thing. In the UK we have the gospel jazz, but we also have the English, and we also have the. It's hard to explain. How I explain it is lively up yourself, like Bob Marley.
The Caribbean,
there's an English song called Knees Up, Mother Brown. And if you hear those two songs, then we'll understand where we come from, because it's very unique. That's how we made up, jungle, how we made up grime. It's the thing that you can only get from the UK.
Now you're celebrating 40 years. You have a new project, your 9th studio album. Congratulations, called Brighter the Days. I love the songs. You're very welcome. Thank you. Lovey Dovey, this thing called Life. I've been waiting. It's really lush and funky, man. Featuring some cool collabs. You want to talk about those collaborations you did on the album?
Yeah, well, where do I begin? I recorded a lot of it at Paul Weller, his studio, Black Barn. Paul Weller's from the Jam, the Style Council. He was my first professional gig.
Oh, wow.
That I did when I was like 19, 20 years old, back in 89. And then, I've got messages from Ledisi messaged me. She sent me a DM saying, "Have you got a song for us?" And I was like, "Well, hell, I don't have one now, but I can certainly make one up."
Wow.
And in India, we've known each other for at least 25 years, and been, just trying to find the right project and song to get onto together. Eric, I met him years ago as well. Same thing, and Raheem. But when I wasn't picking up the song. When I was composing the song with my brother, Splash Professor, I was like, we could get some other people on this. And those dudes came up in spades with what they added to the track. It's just, I was just so happy. J. Rue the Damager, I met at a jazz festival in Cork, in Ireland, and he's such a character. I was like, bro, we need to do something together. And I played him one of my brother's beats, and he was sold, you know what I mean? So I've just been so fortunate to work with all the people on this album.
And you've actually continued the family tradition through music through your own daughters. What was it like to work with the next generation of your fam?
Well, this is the thing. One of my daughters, both my daughters are dancers as well, because their mother's a dance teacher. And I've never really pressed the singing thing with them. And they both can sing, but one is now decided that she wants to get into musical theater. And I swear, her voice at 17 is way, way better than mine. You know what I mean? So I'm really looking forward to working with her and producing songs for her. But I'm dad. Kids are always eager to work with dad. So I'm just waiting patiently for her to be ready to work with me.
Well, I'm sure you're very proud of that. Sitting down with Omar. He's going to be in town Monday, July 14th, City Winery. Now, you've been on several features, too. Several fellow artists' work. Any of them that you're most proud of?
No, that's like asking me who's my favorite kid.
Okay.
There's so many, and I probably do about 10 to 15 features a year. So I'm not always like remembering what I did. I'll be sitting in like a coffee shop, and then I hear some music. I'm like, that sounds like, is that me? It sounds like me. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, and then it's like a pleasant surprise to remember what I did.
You do so much music, you reckon that you actually surprise yourself when you hear yourself on somebody's stuff? That's interesting.
Oh, Well, somebody put a compilation together of my stuff. Wasn't everything, and all in all, I think it was like 3.5 hours
Wow.
of music. Yeah, and that was just like a slice of what I've done. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's like at least wow. That's like 60 plus songs or something like that.
Exactly. I've done over 200.
Wow. Now, most of the album for Brighter the Days you've written, that was all your writing?
So no, it's a compilation of me working with several people. It's mainly me and my brother, because Scratch Professor, he does all the hip hop beats and he has his little juice with like keyboards and stuff like that. But I work with a band in Berlin called The Swag. We did a show together, and then we decided to have a jam session the next day, and that's how the song "Won't Let You Down" came out. And I got Zap Mama's daughter Keziah to come on board with that. Giggs, who's a prominent rapper out here in the UK, messaged me. Same thing. Like, and everybody calls me Unks now because
you achieved Unk status. You're not the OG yet, but you're just the uncle. Or?
Yeah. No. I've had OG as well. Dirty Rascal call me OG, but yeah, Giggs, who is the landlord, reached out to me, and I was like, yeah, let's do something together. We sat down for like an afternoon, me, my brother, and him, and then we found a beat that was perfect for me and him, and that's how we made "We Can Go Anywhere." So, yeah, it's just one of those things. I just found out everything was the right time, right place. India, bless her, I'm saying that we've been trying to work on something for a long time. And I was actually thinking it wasn't going to actually happen. But lastminute.com, she came up trumps with her vocals and everything like that. And I had my friend Stuart Zender, who played bass for Jamiroquai. He came in and produced the track and mixed it, and I'm just so happy with this album. Yeah, it was just one of those situations where everybody contacted me, and we managed to make everything fit. Because when I put an album together, I have to make sure that if you start listening to it, you finish listening to it without skipping anything, or do you know what I mean? Because it's like telling a story, and everything just fell into place. I mean, Raheem and Eric were just so amazing, because I was like, I think somebody else could sing this song with me, and I sent it to them, and what they sent back, I did hardly anything with their vocals, because it was just perfect what they did. And yeah, you're going to be seeing that, because that's a single that's going to be coming out in the near future. So I was just so lucky to be able to work with all these people, and it just fit with the album. So yeah, give thanks.
Working with anybody of the new school, especially in the UK, you got like Tiana Major 9, others in that kind of school. Have you actually, have you met them? Would you like to work with them?
The people that I've been paying the closest attention to are Children of Zeus. Yeah, you have to check them out.
What does Omar vibe out to when he's not writing or producing? Who do you listen to?
Stevie, it's Donny, it's Dennis Brown, it's John Holt, it's jazz, it's jungle. To relax, I like to watch comedy. You know what I mean?
Comedy, okay.
Samandi, you know Samandi?
Oh, yes. They've been in Boston, in the Boston area recently, kind of like doing a new kind of resurgent tour, yes.
Well, there you go. See, and you saw the documentary about them?
Yes.
That my dad is in that documentary. He was, that's my father. So, I'm part of that lineage.
Wow. So you actually know what it was like to kind of like just witness that kind of like that band and that group, because they were ahead of their time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they were around the same time as Incognito, Central Line, Brass Construction,
yes,
Heat Wave. You know what I mean? So there's a whole. So when I was about 9, 10 years old, I had drum lessons in part of London called Hackney, East London. And it was in the basement. And I always remember the smell of fried eggs, which is what I love. And then years later, I come to find out that it was Incognito's rehearsal room.
Oh, wow.
So I've been connected to, like I said, Brass Construction, Central Line, Heat Wave, Incognito, there's so many Southern Freeze. All these bands were just like percolating, and that's the thing. We were just trying to emulate the American soul music that we loved, but we put the English vibe in there.
Does it feel like there's a resurgence of new fans and awareness that you're gaining? People discovering Omar now. Does it feel like that?
No, absolutely. I mean, it used to be my sister liked the music, and then it was my mom likes the music. Now it's my nan likes the music. You know what I mean? And I get kids coming to the gigs, about 14, 15 years old. A friend of mine who plays trumpet on "I've Been Waiting" on the album. It sounds like a sample of Dinkey's Adventures in the Land of Music.
Yes, because like Lucchini, I forget the hip hop group that used that, and Angie Stone used that too.
Right, they used it. Angie, a friend of mine, Terry Walker, she used it as well. But my friend, he plays trumpet, and he actually replayed the whole thing as well. And that's on the album. The song's called "I've Been Waiting." But last night I was at the festival Love Supreme, which is in the south of England, and his son, who is 16, who plays drums, came and played with us as well. You know what I mean? So, and he's a big fan of my music. He actually recreated the song "This Thing Called Life" on his laptop. He just did the whole thing all over again with all the instruments.
Wow!
And
watching a recent video you were singing a Roy Ayers song, "Sunshine." Describe the artistry of Roy Ayers. We just lost him recently. Rest in paradise. What did Roy Ayers mean to you?
Roy Ayers is part of the old guard that I revered. I worked with Leon Ware, Lamont Dozier, Stevie, like you said. And I actually saw Roy a couple months before he passed. Rest in peace. But that dude was just on another funky level. He created his own lane, and he's definitely up there with the people that were influenced the UK soul and jazz scene. The chord progressions, the vibe of the songs, all of that. We were just trying to emulate that.
And you did music with Angie Stone. We lost her beautiful voice as well. Any memories you want to share of working with her?
I got into a little bit of a sticky situation after I did that Be Thankful, cover of Be Thankful, the William DeVaughn song with Erica. And the label weren't, happy with that, or they didn't want me to. So I had to find somebody else to, take her place. And she stepped right up. And, people have this debate now, which is the better one, Angie or Erica. But me and Angie wrote at least 3 or 4 songs together. And we were just getting ready to write someone else as well. She was telling me that her and D'Angelo were fans of my music from way back when I have a song called Little Boy, which is, it seems to resonate with the American crowd, and I was just so proud of that. You know what I mean? So I was just so happy that I got to work with her and vibe with her while she was here. But her legacy stands strong.
You're one of the few people who've worked with Stevie Wonder, who was a known admirer and wanted to write some music for you. What was that like, finding that out?
When I was in my teens, when I was in college, there's a picture of it somewhere. But after he heard my second album, Music, I got a message to my manager, Keith Harris, who also looks after Stevie. And he said, Stevie says he wants to write you your first #1. I'm like, I don't care where it goes. This is the first thing. You know what I mean? So back in 92, 93, it was like my first times of staying in L.A. And there was one day they said, right, he's going to call you today. Just stay by the phone, because there was no mobile phones. So I had to wait all this time. And then about midnight, I got a phone call saying, yeah, you have to go to Wonderland. And you know what Wonderland is. That's the mecca for all musicians, especially if you listen to Stevie. And I got down there, but after midnight, I had to wait another couple of hours to be ready to work. And then by the time I got to the studio, he was sleeping. So I had to wait again. I had to wait again after that. But listen, if you know anything about Stevie, if you have to wait, it's worth the wait. So I had a phone call about 7-8 years later, out the blue, Somebody's calling me, and I'm like, who's this? And he goes, yo, man, it's your boy. I'm like, who's that? He goes, Steve. Steve who? And he goes, Wonder. I went, nah, sing something for me. And then for 2 weeks, I was the ambassador to Stevie, because we went to a club, we went to a restaurant, went to a hotel, and finally we ended up in the studio. Put one song down, which is okay, but then the next morning I got a phone call, like, the song turned out to be Feeling You, which is on my album, Best by Far, my 5th album, and I'm so proud of that song.
Love that song, Feeling You. Chopping it up with Omar. You got to get yourself to City Winery Monday, July 14th, 7:30. So for music lovers, listening to you is one thing, but what is the Omar performance experience going to be like? What can you share, or any secrets before you hit the stage?
Yeah, it's such a vibe. We have a party, you know what I mean? You want a good time, and you want to reminisce as well, because I find that people reminisce with my songs. Certain songs remind them of certain times or good times and things like that. We're going to have so much of that.
Do you prefer to do the up-tempo stuff, the slow grooves? Is there anything, or you just like doing all the music?
Doing all the music. That's impossible. That's like me naming my favorite child. You know what I mean?
I won't make you do that.
Right. I try and predict what the crowd's into and stuff. But like we've been talking, it's like 40 years worth of catalog to go to, and I just hope that I hit some of the songs that people want to hear.
Well, that definitely means that people need to get there early, because 40 years is a lot to cover in a few hours. Omar, once again, will be in Boston, City Winery, Monday, July 14th, 7:30. Doors open at 5:30. You can get tickets and more information at citywineryboston.com. I'm personally looking forward to brighter days in the evening, July 14th, when you take the stage, Omar. I sincerely appreciate you spending some time with me today.
Yeah, me too. I just mentioned my brother Yuki, who he's a professor.
Keyboardist, yeah, I know Yuki. I know Yuki, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I want to big him up, because he helped me out. And I love that brother, and he's going to be at the show as well. But I just want to big him up, and just I appreciate him so much. But yeah, it's going to be cool.
Very cool. Yeah, big up to Yuki as well as Noe. Yeah, I know them both. Very cool. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. It should be like a reunion of just hearing back songs from back in. Are you going to do any of your first material, or is it just going to be like some of the more
obviously stuff from the new album as well? But this is the thing. My catalog is that deep, and people love so many different songs. It's so like a minefield in terms of what I have to choose to, what people want to hear. But it's going to be a fantastic party. We're going to enjoy ourselves. We're going to have a good time.
Looking forward to the fantastic party. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Omar, for just stopping by Studio 889.
That's cool. I look forward to seeing you. Take care.
All right, peace. All right, from Studio 889, I am DJ Mo Wilks. I am out.